Reflection number 3. Team leadership is more effective than individual leadership. That's important. Team leadership is more effective than individual leadership. If I could do one thing for you, one thing today in this area of leadership, I would try to convince you that it's better to lead as a team than it is to lead as an individual. So go back to your organization and begin to develop leadership teams. This is the way to do it. Do it together. My greatest joy today is in my team, the Enjoy group. I just love watching them work and develop and build and grow, and they're taking me to a much higher level than I could ever get on myself. But I want to challenge you. I want to encourage you. Develop a team around you. Don't do it alone. Again, we hear this expression. Well, it's lonely at the top. Well, it's lonely at the top. I don't think a leader ever said that. Because think of it for a moment. If you're at the top alone, you're not leading anyone. In fact, here's the thought. If you're at the top alone, get off the mountain. Go down and find some people. Here's a thought. Find some people as a leader and take them with you back to the top of the mountain. That's the way it works. Every once in a while I hear somebody say, well, John, I'm a self-made man. And they always want me to, you do know, don't you, I'm a self-made man. I always have a feeling they want me to congratulate them. Can I tell you something? If everything you've made by yourself, you haven't made much. If you're going to climb a Texas hill, you can do it all by yourself. But if you want, well, excuse me, I'll climb it for you if you can. If you're going to climb a Texas hill, you can do it by your own. But if you want to climb Mount Everest, you got to have a team. Very simply stated, if you're going to do much, if you're going to accomplish much, if you're going to endeavor much, you got to develop a team. I'm writing a book right now, as I've shared with you, the 17 laws of teamwork. Let me just give you a few. I'm just going to give them to you quickly. I got to move. Law number 1 is the law of the Lone Ranger. One is too small of a number to achieve lasting significance. So quit trying to do it on your own. Number 2 is the law of the bench. Great teams have great depth. Law number 3 is the law of the niche. Each player has a place where they add the most value. Law number 4 is the law of Mount Everest. There you are. I didn't say the law of a Texas hill. The law of Mount Everest says as the challenge increases, the need for teamwork increases. Law number 5, the law of the chain. The strength of the team is impacted by its weakest link. Wow. Maybe my favorite law is number 6, the law of dividends. Investing in the team compounds over time. Isn't that true? And the more that you invest in your team, the more it pays off. Okay. Reflection number 4 as a leader. Adversity, when I handled it correctly, helped me become a better person and a leader. Now that is so true. Adversity, when I handled it correctly, helped me become a better person and a leader. Now, I want to say sometimes I didn't handle it correctly and it didn't help me become better at all. But when I handled adversity correctly, it helped me to be a better person, a better leader. And as I shared with you before, in my book, The Failing Forward book, the thesis of that book is the major difference between average people and achieving people is their perception and their response to failure. Let me explain. Everybody has a train wreck in their life. I'm talking about something in life where the wheels come off and you're in deep weeds. Are you with me? How many of you have at least had one train wreck in your life? Okay, good, okay. We almost all have one. I've had 3 in my life. I had one in my earlier years in my first church in the area of prioritizing my life. I had one in the 80s about when we were in a relocation process and the zoning was slow and the environmentalist issues were big and that's another story. But the third train wreck is one I want to talk to you about just briefly, because I'm just talking about reflections as I look as a leader, as I look back. The third train wreck I had was 2 years ago, and I talked to you in an earlier session on it briefly, and that was my heart attack. So I want to give you lessons I've learned from a heart attack. I'm just giving you stuff quickly, just reflections of leaders I think and reflect. Number 1 is I've learned to be grateful for life. I think you only are truly grateful for life when you think you've lost it. I just think there's a part of that process. Helen Keller, I think, had it right when she said, I often thought it would be a blessing if each human being were stricken blind and deaf for a few days during his early adult life. Darkness would make him more appreciative of sight, and silence would teach him the joys of sound. I think you're right, Helen. Another lesson I've learned from my heart attack is I've learned that you can never tell people you love that you love them enough. Never can you. You just can't tell people that you love that you just love them enough. No matter how much you tell them you love them, you want to tell them you love them more, the people you really love. Isn't that true? The night I had the heart attack happened to be at our Enjoy Christmas party. It was closing out when I had my heart attack. And so I laid on the floor waiting, of course, for the medics to come and the whole process, and realized I knew, everybody there knew it was a very serious deal. It was not something just light. It was serious. But you know what? An emotion that I had that I would have never believed I would have had. I mean, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have, if you had asked me if you're lying on the floor having a heart attack thinking you might die, what kind of thoughts are going to run through your heads? I promise you I would have never thought of this, but this is actually what happened. In fact, I was reminded of it the other day because it happened to be at Turner Field. We that day rented out the Turner Field restaurant where the Braves play baseball, and so we had the whole. And I was going through the restaurant the other day with one of my staff members, and he told the story, which reminded me. As I'm laying there and they're getting ready to take me out, I had this overwhelming desire to express my love to my whole staff. And as they laid there and they were working on me and asking questions and the whole thing, I'd say, hey, Tim, I just want you to know I love you. I love you, Dan. Charlie, man, I love you. And Tim, as he was talking to the couple guys that were with us at the baseball game, he said, I'll never forget, here's this guy that we think perhaps is dying, and all he wants to do is tell us how much he loves us. Now, here's what I found out. Listen to me. Just take this little bit of advice and just run with this little baby, would you please? Let me tell you something. Don't delay telling people that you love them. Don't say, well, Thanksgiving's coming, and maybe when the family gets together at Thanksgiving, just got to tell them, or Christmas, I'm going to see the family at Christmas. Cut that out. Get on the phone tonight and express love and express appreciation to people. The third lesson I learned is that I'm learning to be a good steward of my body, and we already talked about exercise, and there were many years I neglected that. Enough of that. Number 4, I've learned the grace of receiving. I am a better giver than a receiver. Are you with me? I'll tell you when I found that out. By the way, I found this was a huge problem in my life when I was pastoring in Skyline, and we had a foot washing service one night, and the staff, the pastors, for 2 hours of worship for straight, we literally washed hundreds of our lay people's feet, and it was an incredible experience. And finally I finished, and I sat on the front row, and I was exhausted as the worship team was still singing. I closed my eyes. I was just tired. I was just physically, mentally, emotionally tired. And all of a sudden I felt that somebody was trying to take my shoe off. And I looked down, and it was one of the lay people. And I said, oh, no. You don't understand. We, as the staff, were washing your feet. And I'll never forget that staff member, just tears flowing down his cheeks, said, Pastor, can't I wash your feet? Oh, was I convicted. I mean, it's like God was going, boom, 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 And that was that was the day I realized that I'm not a good receiver, I'm a good giver. And when I had the heart attack and I had 6 weeks that I couldn't do anything, and I'm telling you, the words, the calls, the gifts, I couldn't even begin to talk to you. Don't need to, it's not important anyway. And I remember from Maranatha Music and Buddy Owen and Tom Van, those guys at Maranatha, I remember they sent me a whole box of great worship CDs. And they sent me a CD recorder, and they wrote me a note and said, John, we know you. This is not easy. You want to be out doing something. Sit down, shut up, and listen to these CDs. And I remember I sat there and I listened to the first CD, and I just quietly wept through the whole CD. The giving of someone else to me. I learned the grace of receiving. Number 5, I learned again the value of prayer. My prayer partner, Bill Klassen, when I woke up in the hospital, by the way, and I fought throughout the night for my life, and finally they cleared the problem in my artery about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I went and got some, then I could, for the first time, rest and sleep. And I woke up probably around 10 or 10:15 that morning. And my prayer partner, Bill Klassen, who's been my prayer partner since 1981, prays for me every day. When I opened my eyes in the hospital room, there he sat, just quietly at the end of the room, at the foot of my bed, waiting for me to awaken. As soon as I awakened, he came over and he said, John, I prayed for you throughout the whole night. And I thought, oh man, the value of prayer. Number 6, I've learned to focus on what I have, not what I lost. I can really relate, especially that in the area of food, because I had to basically give up desserts. I had Dick Peterson, the CEO of our company. We were together recently, and he said, John, he says, you've done so good. You haven't had desserts now for about 1.5 years. He said, probably by now you've lost your taste for them, haven't you? I wanted to kill the man. I mean, a big monster inside of me just started to rear his ugly head and said, just strike him dead, Maxwell. Just, what do you mean I've lost my taste? I went out with the crew the other day to a basketball game, and they all got a carrot cake that big. And I just wanted to dive my body into that. You know what I mean? I thought, if you don't mind, I'd just like to stick my head in that for about 30. What a way to suffocate. How did he die? He had his head in carrot cake and didn't come up for air. He's finally died. He just dead, you know. What killed him? Carrot cake. Just flat out killed him. He just wouldn't get his head out of the carrot cake. In fact, what I do now, because I can't have it, I tell people, I say, have a dessert for me. You know, have a dessert for me. We had a group of leaders at our headquarters in Joy in Atlanta. Oh no, maybe about 1 year ago, and we were having this meeting. It was kind of a long meeting, so one of the guys went out and got a whole bunch of Krispy Kreme donuts. I promise you, when we get to heaven, there will be Krispy Kreme donuts, and there'll be no calories in those suckers either. And so they got them on, so they're saying, you want, well, I said, I can't have it. No, that's not on my list. And, you know, so anyway, and I said, but guys, I said, that's all right, you eat them. In fact, I said, have one for me. And so everybody, you know, all the guys said, oh, yeah, that's great. I said, yeah, here, I'm having a donut on Maxwell. You know what, I'm having a donut. So they ate the first donut. Guy, he looked at that, he kept looking at it, and he says, man, I have to have another donut. He just reached over and he said, John, he said, I think you'll have another donut. I've learned to focus on not what I lost, but what I have. Number 7, I've learned that developing a solid Enjoy team has paid off. Because the year after the heart attack was the greatest year we ever had, and it wasn't because of me, it's the team that lifted the load. Number 8, I've learned to place my family first. Wow. In fact, the main reason for my health discipline anymore, very simple. Margaret and I have been married for 31 years. She's my best friend. I want to hang around a lot longer. I mean, I don't want her to marry another man, to be honest with you. We had so much fun those 6 weeks I couldn't go anywhere and do anything because the staff wouldn't let anybody get to me. And I mean, it was just her and I. And the other day, it's gotten kind of busy and hectic the last couple of months, and she said, John, she said, take it in the right context, but you need to have another heart attack. You just have to have it. Oh, she said, man, the time we got then and all that wonderful thing. Now, let me tell you what I think success is. I think success is having those who are closest to you love and respect you the most. That's what I think success is. I was on Focus on the Family one time, and I shared that with Jim Dobson. And he said, John, best definition I've ever heard. Those closest to you love and respect you the most. You know, there's something wrong with me as a leader, and there's something, to be honest with you, wrong with you as a leader. If the people who don't know you well love and respect you more than the people who know you well, there's something wrong with the picture. And number 9, I've learned that God still has plans for my life. And I love the quote there below. Here is the test to find out whether your mission on earth is finished. If you're alive, it isn't. I wouldn't have been able to come to El Paso and be with you today if my mission would have been finished on that time. Now, let me give you one more reflection in this lesson about a leader, and that is, here's what I believe. I believe that great leaders add value to the people that they serve. I believe that with all my heart. I believe that's what great leaders do. And here, remember this. In fact, put it in your notes because it's important. Leaders are lifters. Leaders have the ability to lift the level of life, not only for themselves, but for the people that are in their organization. Leaders make things go better. Just like bad leaders pull people down and make things go worse. I've defined success for you, but let me give it one more shot. Success is knowing my purpose in life, growing to my maximum potential. And yes, it is true, success is sowing seeds that benefit others. That's this adding value into the lives of people. I love the quote of Norman Vincent Peale. Look at it. To be successful is to be helpful, caring, and constructive. To make everything and everyone you touch a little bit better. The best thing you have to give is yourself. So I want to close this lesson by sharing with you 3 ways I believe that we add value to people. Number 1, we add value to people when we truly value them. You and I could never add value to others unless we truly value them. And when we truly value people, 3 things happen. Letter A, we believe in them before they believe in us. In other words, I love this phrase. As leaders, listen to me carefully, we should initiate belief. Be the first one out of the block to tell somebody, to share with somebody that you believe in them. So we truly value people when we believe in them before they believe in us. Number 2, we truly value people when we, letter B, serve them before they serve us. Rabbi Harold Kushner is exactly right when he said, the purpose of life is not to win. The purpose of life is to grow and to share. When you come to look back on all that you have done in life, you will get more satisfaction from the pleasure you have brought into other people's lives than you will from the times that you outdid and defeated them. That's a fact. So if we truly value people, we not only believe in them before they believe in us, we not only serve them before they serve us, but letter C, we draw others to us. There is a drawing effect that you and I feel toward others when they truly add value to us. Think of a moment, just think a moment of somebody that truly adds value to you. Don't you want, if they truly add value to you, don't you want to be around them? There's just a desire for you to migrate to them. Okay, so how do we add value to others? Number 1, we add value to others when we truly value people. Number 2, we add value to others when we make ourselves more valuable. In other words, the greatest way for you to add value to people around you is for you to become more valuable yourself. Because as you grow and as you develop, Now you have more to offer the people that are around you. In fact, Tim Rohn was exactly right when he said, in order to do more, I've got to be more. Number 3, we add value to others when we know and relate to what they value. Wow. And so I close with this thought. As I look at this day, I ask myself one question. In fact, in a moment when I leave and I get on the plane and I go back to Atlanta to see Margaret, there's only really one question that'll go through my mind. And that question and how I answer that will determine the satisfaction that I feel deep within myself. And here's the question. You see, as I get on the plane, the question I'll ask myself is, did I add value to you? In other words, when you came in this morning and now as you leave this evening, did I help maybe encourage you, help you be a better leader, help you make some decisions in your life? Because if I added value to you, then the trip to El Paso was worth everything. Because I don't think there's anything we can do better for our fellow man than to come alongside of them, add value to them, and make their life a little better because we've been their friend. Thank you very much. God bless you.